Captain Lee Taman walked through the long metal corridors of Harmony Point Station. His black uniform was clean and pressed. The small flag of Earth was sewn on his shoulder. Behind him, Dr. Park So-young carried a tablet, computer, and recording device. She was nervous, but tried not to show it. Today was the day humans would meet the 5 most powerful alien races in the galaxy. Earth had only achieved faster-than-light travel 3 years ago. The other races had been traveling between stars for thousands of years. The meeting room was huge. It had a round table in the center with 6 chairs. 5 of the chairs were already filled with alien beings that looked nothing like humans. The 6th chair was empty and waiting for Lee. The first alien was Krickstar of the Warthan Empire. He looked like a giant lizard walking on 2 legs. His scales were dark green and his eyes were yellow. Sharp teeth showed when he opened his mouth. He wore armor that looked like it was made from black metal. Next to him sat Cephalon from the Nexari Collective. This alien looked like it was made of living crystal. Its light moved through its body in strange patterns. When it spoke, its voice sounded like glass bells ringing. Its body changed colors from blue to purple to green. The 3rd alien was Thalgor from the hive mind swarm. It looked like a giant insect with 6 arms and 4 legs. Its shell was brown and had spikes growing from it. Multiple eyes covered its head. When it moved, smaller insect creatures crawled over its body. Veltari represented the astral dominion. This being was made of pure energy. It had no solid body. Instead, it looked like a cloud of bright light that sometimes took the shape of a person. When it spoke, the voice seemed to come from everywhere at once. The last alien was Grokanash from the Tidecaller Union. He looked like a cross between a fish and a frog. His skin was wet and blue-green. Gills opened and closed on his neck. His large eyes could move in different directions. At the same time, Lee sat down in the empty chair. Park stood behind him and activated her recording device. The aliens stared at the 2 humans with expressions that clearly showed they thought very little of them. Krickstar spoke first. His voice was deep and rough, like rocks grinding together. So, these are the famous humans we have heard about. You look even weaker than we expected. We are honored to meet representatives of such powerful civilizations, Lee replied calmly. His voice was steady and polite. Cephalon's crystal body flashed bright red. Honored. You should be terrified. Do you have any idea what kind of power sits at this table? We would be very interested to learn more about your capabilities, Park said. She held her tablet, ready to take notes. Thalgor, as multiple eyes focused on her. Capabilities, child. We do not have capabilities. We have the power to destroy entire star systems. Tell them about your ships, Krickstar, Veltari said. The energy being's voice carried amusement. I think these primitives need to understand their place in the galaxy. Krickstar leaned back in his chair. His yellow eyes gleamed with pride. Very well. The Vorthan Empire commands the mightiest fleet in known space. Our dreadnoughts are 15 kilometers long. Each one is the size of a small moon. They carry plasma cannons that can crack a planet in half with a single shot. He gestured with one clawed hand. The armor on our ships is made from compressed neutron star material. No weapon in the galaxy can penetrate it. When a Vorthan dreadnought arrives in the system, entire world surrender without a fight. Lee nodded and made a note in his small notebook. Impressive. How many of these dreadnoughts do you have? More than your primitive mind could count. Krickstar replied with a sneer. Cephalon's body began to pulse with different colors. The Nexari Collective has no need for such crude displays of force. Kara crystal ships exist in multiple dimensions. At once, we can phase through solid matter. We can attack from dimensions your science cannot even detect. The crystal alien's form became translucent. Watch this. Cephalon's hand passed right through the metal table. Our ships can do this during battle. Your weapons cannot hit what exists in another dimension. We can strike you while remaining completely safe ourselves. Park looked fascinated. How do you achieve dimensional phasing? Trade secrets, human child, Cephalon replied coldly. Knowledge far beyond your understanding. Thalgor clicked his mandibles together. The sound was like bones breaking. Both of you think too small. The swarm does not build ships. We grow them. Our bioships are living creatures the size of mountains. Okay, they can reproduce during battle. Cut one in half and it becomes 2 ships. Insect alien's shell gleamed in the light. The best part is adaptation. Ships learn from every attack. Hit one with a laser and it develops resistance to energy weapons. Use missiles and it grows armor to deflect explosives. The longer a battle lasts, the stronger our ships become. How fascinating, Lee said. He wrote more notes. And these bioships can actually think for themselves. They share consciousness with the hive mind, Thalgor explained. Thousands of ships thinking as one. Perfect coordination. No confusion. No hesitation. Valteri's energy form shifted to a brighter yellow color. All of these approaches are so physical, so limited. The astral dominion built ships from pure energy. Our vessels exist partially in subspace. No, they can move faster than light without using hyperspace lanes. The energy being expanded and contracted. More importantly, energy cannot be destroyed. You can scatter our ships, but they simply reform. We are effectively immortal. Even if you somehow manage to damage one of our vessels, it would repair itself within minutes. Croconash had been quiet during the other presentations. Okay, now he spoke in a voice that bubbled like water. You all speak of fighting in the emptiness of space. The Tidecaller Union fights differently. Our Leviathan-class ships are designed to survive in the depths of gas giants. They hide in the crushing pressure and poison atmospheres where no other ship can follow. His large eyes blinked slowly. When we attack, we rise from the depths like ancient sea monsters. Our enemies never see us coming. By the time they detect our ships, we are already among them. Our vessels are living fortresses that can survive in environments that will crush your delicate machines. Lee finished writing and looked up. These are all remarkable achievements. Humanity is truly impressed by what you have accomplished. The 5 aliens exchanged glances. They had expected fear or submission. Instead, the humans seemed genuinely interested in learning about their military capabilities. Is that all you have to say? Krigstar demanded. We have just described fleets that could destroy your entire species, and you act like we are giving you a science lesson. We appreciate you sharing this information, Park replied. Hell, it helps us understand the current state of galactic military technology. Cephalon's crystal body flashed angry red. Current state. We are not describing the current state of anything. We are describing the pinnacle of military evolution. These technologies represent millions of years of development. Of course, Lee said politely. We did not mean to imply otherwise. Valteri's energy form crackled with irritation. Then where is your fear? Where is your awe? Do you not understand that any one of our fleets could erase your pathetic civilization from existence? We understand the implications, Lee replied calmly. We are simply honored that you would share such detailed information with us. Thalgor's mandibles clicked rapidly. Something is wrong here. These humans are not reacting properly. They should be begging for mercy by now. Croconash's skills fluttered. Perhaps they are too primitive to understand what we are telling them. No, Krigstar said slowly. His yellow eyes narrowed. They understand. Look at how they take notes. Look at how they ask questions. They are studying us. The room fell silent. The 5 aliens stared at the 2 humans with new suspicion. Lee closed his notebook and smiled. We have been wondering about something. You have all described very impressive fleets. We would be honored to see them in action. You want to see our fleets? Cephalon asked. There would not be too much trouble, Park added. We would very much like to observe your military capabilities firsthand. Viltari's energy form pulsed with amusement. You want to see our fleets destroy your pathetic human ships? We would be happy to demonstrate our own capabilities as well, Lee said. It seems only fair. The aliens looked at each other again. Then Crickstar began to laugh. It was a harsh sound, like metal scraping stone. Yes, I think that would be very educational for you. We accept your challenge, humans, Thulgor said. Prepared to learn your place in the galaxy? Lee stood up and bowed politely. Thank you. We look forward to the demonstration. As the humans left the meeting room, the 5 aliens began planning what they believed would be the most one-sided battle in galactic history. They had no idea they were about to learn that humanity's greatest weapon was not any technology they could build, but their ability to learn from others and improve upon everything they encountered. The demonstration they were about to witness would change the balance of power in the galaxy forever. 3 days later, the group met again at the docking bay of Harmony Point Station. Captain Lee Taman arrived first, wearing the same clean black uniform. Dr. Park Soyoung walked beside him, carrying her equipment in a small bag. Both humans looked calm and ready. The 5 alien representatives arrived together. They moved with confidence, like predators who knew they were about to win an easy fight. Their attitude had changed since the first meeting. Now they looked at the humans with amused superiority, like adults watching children play with toys. Are you ready to see real power, humans? Crickstar asked. His yellow eyes gleamed with anticipation. I have chosen the perfect location for your education. We are honored by your attention, Lee replied politely. Where will this demonstration take place? Cephalon's crystal body flashed blue and green. The Kepler 442 system. It is far from any inhabited worlds. When your pathetic ships are destroyed, no one will witness your humiliation. That sounds like an excellent choice, Park said. She made a note on her tablet. Remote locations are always best for military exercises. Thulgor's mandibles clicked with amusement. Military exercises, child. This will not be an exercise. This will be a lesson in reality. The group boarded their respective ships. The alien vessels were impressive, even while docked. Each one represented the pinnacle of their civilization's technology and design philosophy. The Vorthan ship looked like a smaller version of their famous dreadnoughts. Its hull was black metal covered in weapon ports. Energy crackled around the edges of its armor plating. Even at rest, it radiated menace and power. The Nexari vessel appeared to be made of the same living crystal as Cephalon himself. It seemed to shift and change shape as they watched. Sometimes it looked solid, other times it became translucent. Light moved through its structure in patterns that hurt to look at directly. The swarm ship was clearly alive. Its hull pulsed like breathing. Smaller creatures crawled across its surface, performing maintenance tasks. The ship's weapons looked like they had grown rather than been built. Everything about it suggested organic adaptation and evolution. The Dominion vessel was the strangest of all. It appeared to be made of contained energy fields. The ship's outline flickered and wavered like heat distortion. Sometimes parts of it seemed to disappear entirely, existing in dimensions human eyes could not perceive. The Union ship looked like it belonged underwater rather than in space. Its hull was smooth and streamlined like a whale or dolphin. Fluid moved through transparent tubes along its sides. Bioluminescent patches glowed softly across its surface. The human ship was much smaller and simpler looking. It appeared to be a standard diplomatic vessel with basic hull plating and minimal weapons. Compared to the alien ships, it looked primitive and weak. "Is that really your ship?" Beltari asked. The energy being's voice carried barely contained laughter. "It looks like something we would use to transport cargo." "Hey, it serves our purposes," Lee answered calmly. "Shall we proceed to the demonstration site?" T's 6 ships formed a loose formation and jumped to hyperspace. The journey to Kepler 442 took several hours. During the trip, the aliens spent their time making jokes about human technology and speculating about how quickly they could destroy the human fleet. When they arrived at the Kepler 442 system, the aliens immediately began deploying their flagships. Each vessel represented the absolute best their civilization could produce. The Vorthan Dreadnought, Worldbreaker, emerged from hyperspace first. It was massive, beyond human comprehension, stretching 15 kilometers from bow to stern. Its hull bristled with hundreds of plasma cannon turrets. Energy shields flickered around its armor like aurora lights. The ship's presence seemed to bend space around it. Next came the Nexari crystal ship, Harmony Shatter. It phased in and out of reality as it moved, existing in multiple dimensions simultaneously. The vessel's faceted hull reflected light in impossible ways, creating rainbow patterns that shifted and changed. When it moved, reality seemed to ripple around it. The swarm bioship Endless Hunger pulsed with organic life. Smaller vessels budded from its surface like fruit growing on a tree. The ship's living hull adapted constantly, growing new weapons and defensive structures. T breathed like a sleeping giant. The Dominion energy vessel Void Whisper flickered between dimensions. Most of the time, it was barely visible, existing more in subspace than normal reality. When it did appear solid, its crackling energy surrounded its form like imprisoned lightning. The Union Leviathan Deep Current rose from the system's gas giant like an ancient sea monster emerging from the depths. Its massive bulk moved with surprising grace. Bioluminescent patterns across its hull pulsed in complex rhythms like a heartbeat. The 5 alien flagships formed an intimidating formation. Together, they represented overwhelming power, the accumulated military might of civilizations that had dominated the galaxy for millennia. "Impressive," Park said, as she recorded everything with her equipment. "Each ship represents a completely different approach to space warfare." "Different approaches, same result," Grokenash replied. "Complete dominance over our enemies." Lee activated his ship's communication system. "Now, you will see humanity's approach to fleet warfare." He sent a coded message into what appeared to be empty space. The transmission was brief, just a few numbers and letters. To the aliens, it looked like a desperate call for help. "What was that?" Crickstar demanded. "You calling for reinforcements? How many of your toy ships do you think it will take to match even one of ours?" "You will see shortly," Lee replied. He checked the time display on his console. "K should arrive in approximately 3 minutes." The aliens looked around the empty space surrounding their formation. There was nothing visible except stars and the distant gas giant. They began to wonder if the humans were bluffing or if their reinforcements had gotten lost. Dr. Park began speaking while they waited. "Humanity has studied warfare for thousands of years. We have learned many important lessons from our history, such as," Cephalon asked mockingly. "The most important lesson is adaptability," Park continued. "The strongest warrior is not always the one with the biggest weapon or the thickest armor. Often, it is the one who can learn fastest and adapt to new situations." Vogra's multiple eyes focused on her. Adaptation is the strength of the swarm. Our ships learn and evolve during battle." "Yes, we found that concept very interesting," Park replied. "We have studied all of your military doctrines extensively." "Studied them?" Veltari's energy form flickered with surprise. How could you study our military secrets? Information has a way of spreading, Lee said mysteriously, especially when people are willing to share it freely, as you did 3 days ago. The aliens began to feel uneasy. Something about the human responses was not matching their expectations. Tay had expected fear and desperation. Instead, the humans seemed confident, almost relaxed. Your 3 minutes are up, human, Krikstar growled. Where is your mighty fleet? Lee smiled and pointed to his sensor display. Look around you. The aliens checked their sensors and found nothing. Empty space surrounded their formation, exactly as it had minutes before. We see nothing, Grokenash said. Are you trying to waste our time? Look more carefully, Park suggested. Sometimes the most dangerous enemies are the ones you cannot see. Suddenly, warning alarms began sounding on all 5 alien ships. Sensors had detected something, but the readings made no sense. Energy signatures were appearing all around them. There was nothing visible to match the readings. Then the first human ship decloaked. It appeared directly behind the Vorthone dreadnought, close enough that its weapons could target specific systems. The ship was sleek and deadly looking. Nothing like the primitive vessel they had seen earlier. Then another human ship appeared, and another, and another. Within seconds, dozens of human vessels materialized around the alien formation. They had been there all along, hidden by cloaking technology more advanced than anything the aliens had seen before. But the humans were not finished. More ships began jumping in from hyperspace. These vessels were larger and more heavily armed. They took positions at key points around the alien fleet with military precision. The aliens watched in growing shock as their overwhelming numerical advantage disappeared. What they had expected to be a one-sided demonstration was becoming something very different. How many ships do you have? Zephalon asked. The crystal being's voice had lost its mocking tone. Lee checked his display again. The first wave is almost complete. Admiral Kim should be arriving shortly with the main battle group. As he spoke, space twisted and a massive human vessel emerged from hyperspace. It was easily as large as the Vorthon dreadnought, but its design was completely different. Where the alien ship looked like a mobile fortress, the human ship looked like a precision instrument designed for one purpose: winning battles. Allow me to introduce Admiral Kim Jae-ho, Lee said. He commands the 1st Expeditionary Fleet. The human admiral's voice came over the communication channel. Captain Lee, Dr. Park, I hope we are not late for the demonstration. Perfect timing, Admiral Lee replied. Our guests were just showing us their impressive vessels. More human ships continued to arrive. The aliens realized they were now completely surrounded by a fleet that seemed to grow larger every minute. Admiral Kim Jae-ho's flagship moved closer to the alien formation. The human vessel was impressive, but what made the aliens truly nervous was how it moved. The ship glided through space with perfect control, its movements precise and confident. On it, representatives, Admiral Kim's voice came through the communication system. We would like to show you something about human ship design. Dr. Park activated her recording equipment. What you are about to see represents 50 years of human engineering and adaptation. We have learned much from studying the galaxy's existing technologies. The human flagship began to change. Sections of its hull shifted and reconfigured. New weapon systems emerged from hidden compartments. The ship's energy signature changed as different systems came online. Krikstar watched in confusion. What is your ship doing? It's demonstrating adaptability, Lee replied. Please observe the forward weapons array. The human ship's main guns began to glow with familiar energy patterns. The aliens recognized the plasma signature immediately. It was identical to Vorthon plasma cannon technology, but somehow more refined and efficient. Impossible, Krikstar growled. Those are our weapons. How did you obtain Vorthon plasma technology? Developed it independently, Admiral Kim replied. After studying the energy signatures from your ships, our scientists were able to recreate and improve upon your design. The plasma cannons on the human ship glowed brighter than any Vorthon weapon the aliens had ever seen. The energy output readings were beyond what their technology could achieve, but the humans were not finished. The ship's hull began to shimmer and fade. Parts of it became translucent, then completely invisible. The vessel was phasing in and out of reality, exactly like a Nexari crystal ship. Cephalon-S crystal body flashed angry red. That is our technology. Dimensional phasing belongs to the Nexari collective. Actually, Park said politely, the principles of dimensional manipulation are universal. Once we understood the basic concepts, we were able to develop our own approach. The human ship demonstrated its phasing ability by passing through a large asteroid. Unlike Nexari ships, which flickered between dimensions uncertainly, the human vessel maintained perfect control throughout the process. Your phasing technology is impressive, Admiral Kim said. Okay, but we found several ways to improve its efficiency and stability. The ship continued its demonstration. Mechanical systems emerged from its hull, growing and adapting like living tissue. The vessel's armor began to shift and change, developing new configurations to handle different types of damage. Thogor's mandibles clicked rapidly. Bioadaptive systems. Tease, you have stolen swarm technology. Borrowed and improved, Lee corrected. We found that combining biological adaptation with mechanical precision creates superior results. The human ship's biosystems worked faster than anything the swarm had developed. New armor plating grew and hardened in seconds rather than minutes. Weapon systems adapted to different targets automatically. Next, the ship's energy systems activated. Crackling fields of power surrounded the vessel like a second skin. The ship began to flicker and waver, existing partially in normal space and partially in subspace. Valtteri's energy form dimmed with shock. Energy manipulation. That is Dominion technology. Your energy control methods are very elegant, Admiral Kim acknowledged. We have incorporated similar principles into our own designs, with some modifications for improved efficiency. The human ship's energy fields were more stable than anything the Dominion had achieved. The vessel could shift between dimensions at will, maintaining perfect control of its energy matrix throughout the process. Finally, the ship descended toward the system's gas giant. As it entered the upper atmosphere, its whole configuration changed again. The vessel became streamlined and organic-looking, perfectly adapted for underwater operations. Grokanash's skills fluttered with agitation. A deep environment adaptation. Union technology. Your Leviathan ships are beautifully designed for hostile environments, Park said. We have applied similar principles to create vessels that can operate in any conditions. The human ship dove deep into the gas giant's crushing atmosphere, then emerged moments later, completely undamaged. It had demonstrated environmental adaptation superior to anything the Union had built. This is one ship, Admiral Kim announced. Every vessel in our fleet incorporates technologies inspired by all 5 of your civilizations. As if to prove his point, other human ships began their own demonstrations. A sleek destroyer showed off its combined weapon systems, firing Vorthon plasma while phasing through dimensions and adapting its targeting systems in real time. A massive carrier released swarms of fighter craft that used energy manipulation to become nearly invisible, while their bioadaptive systems allowed them to change configuration for different mission types. Specialized cruiser demonstrated perfect environmental adaptation by operating simultaneously in normal space, subspace, and the gas giant's atmosphere. How is this possible? Krigstar demanded. These technologies took our civilizations millions of years to develop. That is exactly the point, Lee replied. You each developed your technologies in isolation. Humanity's advantage is that we arrived after you had already solved the basic problems. Park pulled up data on her tablet. Human intelligence services have been studying galactic civilizations for decades. Every piece of information you shared freely, every demonstration of your capabilities, every boast about your superiority, we recorded it all. You have been spying on us? Cephalon asked. We have been learning from you, Park corrected. There is a difference. We studied your achievements with respect and admiration, too. Then we worked to understand how we could build upon them. Morale. Kim's voice became more serious. The 5 civilizations represented here have been stagnant for thousands of years. You achieved greatness, then stopped trying to improve. Humanity has only had 50 years, but we have never stopped learning. The alien representatives stared at the human fleet surrounding them. Each ship was a fusion of technologies from all 5 alien civilizations, but improved and integrated in ways none of them had imagined possible. Kia Warthon plasma cannons are powerful, Admiral Kim continued, but they waste energy and generate too much heat. Our version is 30% more efficient. Queeksta's yellow eyes narrowed. 30%. Your Nexari phasing technology is elegant, the Admiral said, but it lacks precision control. Ships can phase specific components while keeping others solid. Cephalon's crystal body flickered nervously. Your swarm bioadaptation is remarkable, Kim went on, but it takes too long to respond to threats. Our systems adapt in real time. Spogger's multiple eyes focused on the human flagship. With new understanding, your Dominion energy manipulation is sophisticated, the Admiral said, but it requires too much power and creates stability problems. We have solved both issues. Belteri's energy form crackled with worry. Your Union environmental systems are impressive, Kim concluded, but they are specialized for specific conditions. Our ships can adapt to any environment instantly. Grokanash's skills stopped fluttering. He stared at the human ships in silence. Dr. Park looked up from her tablet. We want to be clear about something important. We did not steal your technologies. We learned from them. Everything we have built incorporates our understanding of your achievements, but we have added our own innovations. What innovations? Veltari asked quietly. Integration, Lee replied. Each of your civilizations perfected one approach to space warfare. Humanity's innovation is combining all approaches into unified systems. Captain Choi Minho's voice came over the communication channel. Admiral, shall we demonstrate integrated combat systems? Proceed, Captain, Kim replied. One of the human cruisers began a complex demonstration. It fired plasma weapons while phasing through dimensions. Its bioadaptive systems responded to simulated damage, while energy fields protected its hull. All 5 alien technologies worked together seamlessly in one vessel. This is impossible, Thulgor whispered. No ship can use all these systems simultaneously. The power requirements alone would be overwhelming. That was true with the original technologies, Park explained. But we have made improvements. Our fusion reactors are more efficient. Our control systems are more sophisticated. Our integration protocols eliminate conflicts between different technologies. The demonstration continued. Human ships showed capabilities that none of the alien civilizations had dreamed possible. They combined the best features of all 5 approaches while eliminating the weaknesses. How many ships do you have? Krigstar asked. His voice had lost all its earlier confidence. This is just the first expeditionary fleet, Admiral Kim replied. We have 7 more fleets of similar size protecting human space. The aliens did quick calculations in their heads. 8 fleets of this size would outnumber all their combined forces. Okay, and if every human ship was as capable as what they were seeing, the technological advantage would be overwhelming. What do you want from us? Grokanash asked. His voice was barely above a whisper. That is an excellent question, Lee replied. But before we discuss that, we should complete the demonstration. You have seen our ships and our technology. Now, we would like to show you human tactical doctrine. You want to fight us? Cephalon asked. We want to show you how Admiral Kim Jaho's voice filled the communication channels. Begin tactical demonstration. All units, implement combat scenario Alpha 7. The space around the alien ships suddenly filled with holographic projections. Hundreds of enemy vessels appeared, each one designed to look like ships from the 5 alien civilizations. The holograms were perfect copies, complete with accurate weapon systems and defensive capabilities. What you will observe, Dr. Park explained to the alien representatives, is how human forces engage multiple enemy types simultaneously. The human fleet immediately began to move. But instead of charging forward, like most military forces, they split into smaller groups. Each group moved with a specific purpose, targeting different types of holographic enemies. Captain Choi Minho's cruiser squadron engaged the holographic 4th and Dreadnoughts. Instead of meeting them head-on, the human ships used speed and coordination. They attacked from multiple directions at once, focusing their fire on weak points in the Dreadnought armor. Your plasma cannons are powerful. Choi's voice came over the radio, but they have slow tracking speeds. Our ships are faster and more maneuverable. The human vessels darted around the massive holographic dreadnoughts like insects around sleeping giants. They fired precise shots at weapon systems and shield generators, systematically disabling the larger ships without wasting energy on heavily armored sections. Krikstar watched in growing horror. Those are perfect simulations of our ships. Do you know their exact weaknesses? We've studied the technical specifications you shared during trade negotiations, Lee replied calmly. Your people were very proud to discuss the details of your military technology. Meanwhile, Commander Yang, Hygen's stealth frigates were engaging the holographic Nexari crystal ships. The human vessels used quantum entanglement nets to track ships even when they phased into other dimensions. Dimensional phasing is an excellent defense, Yang reported, but it becomes a weakness when your enemy can predict where you will reappear. The human ships fired special weapons that created dimensional anchors. When the holographic Nexari ships tried to phase away, they found themselves trapped in normal space where human weapons could target them easily. Cephalon's crystal body flashed rapidly between colors. Dimensional anchors should not be possible. The energy requirements are too high. They were too high with your power systems, Park explained. Our improved fusion reactors can generate the necessary energy output. Captain Nam Wujin's defensive platforms were handling the holographic swarm bioships instead of trying to destroy the adaptive vessels. The human ships used targeted biological weapons that confused the bioships' adaptation systems. Bioadaptive armor is very clever, Nam announced. Biological systems can be tricked with the right chemical signals. The human weapons released synthetic pheromones that made the holographic bioships think they were under attack by their own kind. The confused vessels began adapting to defend against threats that did not exist, leaving them vulnerable to conventional weapons. Thulgor's mandibles clicked frantically. How do you know our bioship control codes? We studied samples of your biotechnology that were traded to various research stations, Lee answered. It took our scientists several years to decode the biological programming. Lieutenant Colonel Park Ji-sung's energy warfare specialists were dealing with the holographic Dominion vessels. They used resonance disruptors that interfered with the energy being's ability to maintain coherent forms. Energy-based life forms are fascinating, Park Ji-sung reported, but they're vulnerable to specific frequency disruptions. The human ships generated precise energy pulses that caused the holographic Dominion vessels to lose stability. It's unable to maintain their energy matrix. The ships began to collapse back into normal matter, where they could be targeted by conventional weapons. Valtari's energy form flickered weakly. Resonance disruption was supposed to be theoretically impossible. Theoretical limitations often disappear with better understanding of the underlying physics. Dr. Park said gently, "Finally, Captain." Lee Donghayan's Deep Space Assault Group engaged the holographic Union Leviathans, instead of following the massive ships into hostile environments. The human vessels used environmental manipulation to force the Leviathans into open space. "Your ships are perfectly adapted for extreme environments," Lee Donghayan said. "But that specialization becomes a weakness when the environment changes." The human ships released atmospheric processors that transformed the gas, giants crushing depths into normal space conditions. The holographic Leviathans, designed for extreme pressure, found themselves struggling in the changed environment where human ships had every advantage. Grokenash's gills fluttered rapidly. Environmental manipulation on that scale requires enormous energy expenditure. "Yes, it does," Admiral Kim agreed. "But the tactical advantage justifies the cost." The holographic battle continued for 30 minutes. The human fleet systematically destroyed every simulated enemy vessel while suffering minimal losses themselves. More importantly, they did it all simultaneously, engaging 5 different types of advanced military technology at the same time. "This concludes the basic tactical demonstration," Admiral Kim announced. "Phase 2 will now begin." The destroyed holographic ships reappeared, but this time they were not separated by civilization. Fourth dreadnoughts worked alongside Nexari crystal ships. Swarm biovessels coordinated with Dominion energy ships. Union Leviathans supported mixed technology fleets. Now you'll see how we handle combined enemy forces, Dr. Park explained. The human response was immediate and devastating. Instead of using separate tactics for each enemy type, they employed integrated strategies that countered multiple threats simultaneously. Human ships, Clyde, quantum-disrupted plasma weapons that could damage both solid armor and energy fields. They used bioadaptive dimensional anchors that trapped phasing ships while confusing bioship sensors. They deployed environmental resonance fields that worked against both energy beings and deep space Leviathans. "How is this possible?" Arkstar demanded. "No single weapon system can be effective against all our technologies." "You are correct," Lee replied. "No single weapon system can handle all threats. That is why we do not use single weapon systems." The human ships demonstrated weapons that combined principles from all 5 alien technologies. Each shot was simultaneously a plasma burst, a dimensional anchor, a biodisruptor, an energy resonance pulse, and an environmental modifier. "Integration," Park said simply. "We learned from each of your civilizations. Then we learned how to make all the technologies work together." The second holographic battle lasted only 15 minutes. The combined alien fleet, despite having superior numbers and mixed technologies, was completely destroyed by the smaller human force. Phase 3, Admiral Kim announced. This time, the holographic enemies appeared with perfect coordination. They used combined technologies on individual ships, just like the humans had demonstrated. Warthanexari hybrid dreadnoughts worked with Swarm Dominion, bioenergy vessels, and Union Enhance environmental fighters. The alien representatives watched with growing despair as their best theoretical technologies were simulated and deployed against the human fleet. The human response was swift and decisive. They did not try to match the hybrid technologies. Instead, they used something the aliens had never seen before: adaptive, real-time counterdash development. Human ships analyzed each new threat as it appeared, then immediately modified their own systems to counter it. Weapons reconfigured themselves automatically. Defensive systems adapted to new attack patterns. Ship formations changed to optimize against specific enemy capabilities. "Our ships learn," Admiral Kim explained, "but they learn faster than anything your civilizations had developed." The human fleet did not just win the third simulation. They won it while taking zero casualties and developing new tactics in real time that made them stronger with each engagement. But this is impossible, Thulgor whispered. Nothing can adapt that quickly. Human technology can, Lee said quietly, 'cause it was designed by minds that never stop learning. The simulation ended with every holographic enemy destroyed and the human fleet stronger than when the battle began. At least were computer simulations, Cephalon pointed out desperately. Reality is different from holograms. Admiral Kim's voice became very serious. You are absolutely correct. Shall we repeat the demonstration with real targets? The 5 alien flagships suddenly found themselves targeted by thousands of human weapons. Every ship in the human fleet had weapon locks on the alien vessels. The targeting was so precise that the humans could destroy specific systems without damaging the rest of each ship. Your shields are down, Admiral Kim announced calmly. Your weapons are offline. Your engines are disabled. We could destroy you all in approximately 37 seconds. The aliens checked their systems frantically. Everything Admiral Kim had said was true. Somehow, without firing a single shot, the human fleet had completely neutralized their most powerful warships. How? Veltari asked, in a voice barely above a whisper. While you were watching the simulations, Dr. Park explained, our ships were scanning your vessels and identifying every weakness. We now know more about your ships than your... The silence in space was complete. Alien flagships floated helplessly, their systems disabled by weapons they had never seen fired. Around them, the human fleet maintained perfect formation, every ship ready to destroy the alien vessels in seconds if needed. Inside the alien ships, the representatives stared at their dead control panels. Krikstar tried to activate his dreadnought's emergency systems, but nothing responded. Cephalon attempted to phase shift to another dimension, but the ship remained locked in normal space. Thulgor's bioship had stopped responding to mental commands from the hive mind. Veltari's energy vessel could not access subspace. Quakanash's Leviathan was trapped in the gas giant's upper atmosphere, unable to dive deeper or escape to open space. How long have our ships been disabled? Krikstar asked. His voice had lost all its earlier arrogance. Since the moment you arrived in this system, Admiral Kim replied calmly. We have been studying your vessels for several hours. Every system, every weakness, every possible countermeasure. Dr. Park activated her tablet and displayed technical readouts. Your ships are magnificent examples of engineering, but they follow predictable patterns. After 50 years of studying galactic military technology, human computers can identify and exploit weaknesses very quickly. You could have destroyed us at any time, Cephalon said. The crystal being's form had dimmed to barely visible light. Captain Lee confirmed. Within the first 30 seconds of your arrival, we had complete tactical superiority. Everything that followed was simply educational. Thulgor's mandibles clicked weakly. Educational? For whom? For all of us, Lee replied. You needed to understand your true position in the galaxy. We needed to demonstrate that humanity is not the primitive species you believed us to be. Admiral Kim's flagship moved closer to the disabled alien vessels. However, we want to make something very clear. This demonstration was not a threat. It was an invitation. An invitation to what? Veltari asked. To join the future, Dr. Park answered. Humanity did not come to this meeting to conquer or destroy. We came to offer partnership. The aliens exchanged confused glances. This was not what they had expected after such an overwhelming display of military power. Partnership? Grokanash asked. You have just proven that you could eliminate all of our civilizations. Why would you want partners? Lee stood up and walked to the viewing window of his ship. Because conquest is easy, but cooperation is valuable. We could destroy your fleets and take your territories, but that would leave us alone in a galaxy full of enemies. We prefer to have friends. Friends who could betray you, Crickstar pointed out. Friends who benefit from working with us, Lee corrected. Let me show you what we are offering. The human fleet began transmitting data to the alien ships. Technical specifications, scientific research, and engineering improvements flowed across the communication channels. What you are seeing, Dr. Park explained, are the enhancements we have made to your technologies. We are prepared to share all of these improvements freely. The aliens studied the data with growing amazement. The humans had not just copied their technologies. They had fixed problems that had existed for thousands of years. Fourth-in plasma cannons that were 30% more efficient and generated no waste heat. Xari phasing systems with perfect dimensional control. Swarm bioadaptation that worked in real time. Dominion energy manipulation without stability. Problems. Union environmental systems that could adapt to any conditions instantly. Why would you give us these improvements? Cephalon asks suspiciously. Because we are stronger when we work together, Admiral Kim replied. Your civilizations have unique perspectives and capabilities that we value. Combined with human adaptability and integration skills, we can achieve things that none of us could accomplish alone. Captain Choi Minho's voice came over the communication channel. Admiral, we are receiving responses from the alien homeworlds. They want to know the status of their flagships. Patch them through, Kim replied. Suddenly, the communication channels filled with worried voices from across the galaxy. Military commanders and government leaders from all 5 civilizations were demanding updates from their representatives. You may tell your people, Lee announced, that their ships and crews are completely safe. No one has been harmed, and no hostile actions have been taken. Then why are our ships disabled? Demanded Fourth in General, whose voice came through Crickstar's communication system. To demonstrate a point, Lee replied calmly. Your ships are disabled because we wanted to show you that we could disable them. When this conversation ends, full control will be returned to your vessels. Dr. Park addressed the alien homeworlds. Directly, leaders of the 5 great civilizations, humanity offers you a choice. You can continue as you have for thousands of years, isolated and stagnant. Or you can join us in building something better. What exactly are you proposing? Asked an Xari voice that sounded like multiple crystal beings speaking in harmony. Complete technological sharing, Admiral Kim announced. Joint research projects, combined fleets for mutual defense, cultural exchange programs, trade agreements that benefit everyone. And if we refuse? Asked a swarm voice that buzzed with the thoughts of billions of individuals. Then you refuse, Lee said simply. We will not force anyone to join us, but we will also not pretend that the old balance of power still exists. The communication channels buzzed with urgent conversations in dozens of alien languages. The representatives in the disabled ships listened as their homeworlds debated humanity's offer. You realize, Veltari said quietly, that some of our people will see this as surrender. Some of our people will see it as evolution, Captain Lee replied. The choice belongs to your civilizations, not to us. Crickstar's yellow eyes focused on the human ship displays. These technological improvements you offer, they are real, completely real, Dr. Park confirmed. And they are only the beginning. Human scientists are already working on applications that combine all 5 alien technology bases with our own innovations. Show us, Thulgor demanded. Admiral Kim nodded to his crew. One of the human ships began to transform. Its hull shifted through multiple configurations, demonstrating Vorthan armor strength. Nexari, dimensional phasing, swarm bioadaptation, Dominion energy manipulation, and Union environmental control, all working together seamlessly. But then the ship did something none of the aliens had seen before. It began to replicate itself. Energy and matter flowed from the original vessel to create a perfect duplicate. Within minutes, 2 identical ships floated where one had been before. Self-replication technology, Dr. Park explained. By combining swarm bioadaptation with Dominion energy manipulation and human manufacturing techniques, we can create ships that can reproduce themselves. The aliens stared in stunned silence. Self-replicating ships would change warfare forever. A single vessel could become a fleet given enough time and resources. We could build an infinite armada, Grokenash whispered. We could, Admiral Kim agreed. Akeem. But we prefer to build infinite possibilities. The communication channels fell silent as the alien civilizations processed what they had seen. Self-replicating technology was beyond anything they had imagined possible. We need time to consider your offer, Crickstar said finally. Of course, Lee replied. But while you consider, remember what you've learned today. The galaxy is changing, whether you participate or not. The question is whether you want to help shape that change or be left behind by it. Admiral Kim activated his fleet-wide communication system. All ships restore full control to our guests' vessels. Instantly, the alien flagships came back to life. Weapon systems came online. Engines responded to commands, and defensive shields activated. The alien crews could have attacked the human fleet immediately. Instead, they simply floated in space, overwhelmed by the magnitude of what they had experienced. The Kepler Accords, Dr. Park announced, will be ready for signature within 1 week. Any civilization that wishes to join the new galactic partnership is welcome. And those who do not wish to join, Cephalon asked, will be treated with respect and left in peace, Lee assured them. But they will not have access to shared technologies or combined defense agreements. The human fleet began to withdraw from the alien formation. As they moved away, Admiral Kim's voice carried one final message. You came here to show us our place in the galaxy? Instead, you have learned yours. The age of isolated civilizations is ending. The age of cooperation is beginning. We hope you will choose to be part of it. One by one, the alien ships began to depart. Some headed directly back to their homeworlds to report what they had witnessed. Others lingered, studying the human vessels and the possibilities they represented. Captain Lee turned to Dr. Park as they watched the alien ships leave. Do you think they will accept our offer? Park smiled as she reviewed the data they had collected. Some will, others will need more time, but they have all learned the same lesson today, which is that the species they thought were primitives have become their teachers. Park closed her tablet and looked out at the stars. The galaxy will never be the same. 3 days later, the first alien delegation arrived at Earth to begin negotiations for the Kepler Accords. It was a small Nexari science